Hey there, greetings and salutations, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Making Sales Social Live, coming to you from the Social Sales Link virtual studios. I'm Bob Woods. Stan Robinson Jr. is off today, but Bryn Tillman is here. Sup, my friend?
Hello, Bob. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you. So,
That is
with that, when it comes to your content on LinkedIn, and think about this. Are you adding value for your prospects, your networking partners? Heck, even for people who just know you, who might be interested in how your products or services might help them or someone else? Or are you just dumping LinkedIn posts, especially AI generated slot posts that you're just copying and pasting in? Or are you tagging connections just willy nilly without reason in those posts? Are you sharing what you want to share, or are you sharing what your audience wants to consume? Now, you might think you're in that first category. Chances are pretty good, though, not excellent, but pretty good, that you're in that second one. The problem is your audience already knows which one of those two categories that you're in, which is kind of scary.
mm,
Today, we're going to talk about being a true resource on LinkedIn and not a resource dump, or probably in this case, a resource dumper. Yeah, I think so. Something like that. And this all seems simple, but I think it starts with a shift in mindset. Do you agree with that, Brent?
I do. And it's interesting because I had an engagement today where the gentleman reached out, and it was the engineered empathy where he scraped, like, love to see what Social Sales Link is doing in the last 20 plus years. And I don't know, it was definitely all scraped. And then it turned into, this is how we help companies like yours. And I just responded with, is this pitch working for you? And he responded, he goes, not so much. Do you have any advice? So
Oh,
yeah, right. He was like, it's not really working, right? So do you have any advice? And I said, you need to start with value. You need to earn the right to get the conversation. And he said, but what I'm offering is valuable. And I said, no. And this is the difference. I have to talk to you to get value. If I have to talk to you, if I have to meet you to get value, it's a pitch. If you get value and you never talk to me and you're like, man, that was awesome, and you can implement it or use it, or it's having you think differently, that's where you're being a resource. And so when you ask the question, is it a mindset? I think the biggest mindset shift is what you think is value and what they think is value is very different. You said it actually in the intro. I think you said something around, and I'll have you re-say it so I get it right, but something around, it's not the content you want to share with them, it's the content they want to consume. So I'll
yep.
throw that back to you because I think that, like, kind of puts a bow on that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, everything that we're going to be talking about is about mindset and specifically about your mindset and what you're communicating to them and how you're communicating it to them, meaning the audience, because you are the communicator. You are the one responsible for that message getting sent out. The question is, do you want that message to be about what you want to talk about, or do you want it to be about what they want to learn about, not just you and your problem, but a problem or situation that they are having, so that you can hopefully with future conversations, you can lead them to your product. You don't want you want to lead them. You don't want to put it in front of their face and go, hey, we're great, blah blah blah, and everything else. You really
Right.
need to identify the problem, yeah, and help them with that problem before you even talk to them, which is what content is really truly all about, Brent.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So let's
So with that,
dive in.
yeah, yeah, let's dive in. So, first of all, let's talk a little bit about, and we're just going to continue with that. Just, flipping that, being a resource is about what they want to consume and not what you want to share. And, hopefully, what that is based on the conversations you've already been having with prospects and things like that. Now you can use AI to hone that if you want to. If you want to potentially discover what are some of the things that you may not know about that they're going through, you can use AI for that.
Mhm.
Or, you could just use AI to have
Well,
like a conversation, maybe even role play or something like that, just to really hone that skill, Brent.
we can also bring in transcripts from our conversations with prospects and clients, right? And have AI kind of disseminate what are the questions they asked, what are some of the answers I gave, because those are real questions that people are asking. And if you have one prospect asking, many might be. The other thing is you can start with a poll. You could
Yeah.
go out with a poll and ask questions. Now, make sure they're not too discovery questions, like how much budget do you have for LinkedIn training is not a good poll. That's right. That's not. But you can actually use the poll to identify what people care about. What is
Mhm.
a top priority for them right now? And then content can be written around that. So there are a lot of ways for you to start to identify. The last one I'll share, and it's one I'm actually in an SEO class with the Hey Tony group. His name is Matt, but the company is called Hey Tony, and I adore them. And he's got a lot of tools that come with the membership, which is great. But one of the things is really identifying whether you use Answer the Public or you Google what you think people are looking for, and then go down and see what is Google telling you they're actually searching for, is such a great way to start identifying what content they're looking for because they're searching for it. So I love Answer the Public for this too, because it not only gives you the topics, but it gives you ideas for the title of the content you're going to create. But when you're using that content, just make sure, and this is something I used to say a long time ago, and I haven't in a while, but if the name of your company is coming up in the body of the content, it's probably going to be seen as a pitch.
Mhm.
You're Until you get to the CTA, the call to action, which it's perfectly fine in the call to action, because now hopefully you've earned the right to get there. The name of your company should not be showing up, or we help should not be showing up. That, because as soon as you do that, it's a little, even if it's not a pitch, it's perceived as one.
Yeah. Stop talking about how you help people and just help people.
I love that. That's a line you've been using for years. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's ultimately what we're talking about. And that's probably there are a lot of things to consider when you're talking about mind shifting, but I think it really everything we're talking about boils down to that statement, and everything that descends from that statement can go back up to that statement, especially the what are they interested in? What are you it's not about it's about what they're interested in, not about what you're interested in. All that kind of boils back. Things can't boil back up. How?
Yeah,
um,
you certainly can boil back up. You should see how I cook.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. So we'll just leave that one go. But y'all know what we're talking about when it comes to that. So let's get to our second point, which is sending unsolicited articles or other content
Mm.
into someone's inbox. Guess what? You think you're being generous, and you may even feel genuinely generous, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's really not, because again, it's how you're communicating and how it's being received by the other person.
Mhm.
So when the person gets it, it reads like a pitch, but with, hopefully better packaging. Permission is the only way sharing in direct messaging, whether it's LinkedIn or, even email or whatever. You just don't do that. You have to get permission first. It's all about permission based, if you want to call it marketing, if you want to call it, I was going to say pitching. It's not about pitching. Prospecting. That's the word I was
Yeah.
looking for, or whatever. You have to get permission, Brent.
Yeah. So permission based sales is the term I tend to use a lot, right? Now, in an email, if you subscribe to a newsletter and you're getting links from that newsletter, you've opted in, right? That you've given permission. And now it's in many places, it's illegal to put someone on a mass email
Hmm.
if they have not opted in, right? So especially in the
Hmm.
European countries with GDPR, so and Canada, so you can't spam someone without an opt-in legally. So we
Right.
want to think about that on LinkedIn as well, right? So what is the opt-in on LinkedIn? Well, it is not becoming a first degree connection. That is not opting in to
Hmm.
receive your links. So permission based is here's the situation, Bob. Noticed you're in the sales training world. Recently came across a podcast with Meredith Elliott Powell on, how to overcome objections. And I thought you might get some value from it. Let me know if you're interested. I'm happy to send you a link. That's permission based. You became my connection. By becoming my connection, by default, you're okay with me messaging you because that is the benefit of being a connection. So, but you haven't given me permission to send the link. Now, it's a third party link. Why couldn't I just send it? There's no spam in that. Well, again, it's about the perception. If you send a link, it feels like spam. Well, why? I didn't ask for this link. What is it? Interestingly, though, and we tested this over COVID, it's been like 6 years now, so it's probably time to retest.
Probably.
But we sent 100 people a direct link that we were first degree connected to, and we sent 100 people if they'd be interested in the link. The first grouping, 19 clicked through, and we thought that was pretty good. The second link, I think these are the numbers, 69 asked for it and 58 clicked through. That is an insane increase. And
Yep.
while we can only predict why, my prediction is there's a FOMO, a fear of missing out. I could have it, but if I don't ask for it, I won't have it. And even if I don't click through it, at least I have it.
Right.
So if you've positioned it in a way that's really relevant to them, they're likely going to say, sure, send it my way. The other folks could come back anytime. There was no reason. But here's the other piece of this. With permission based, we're starting a conversation. Because they have to at least say sure or yes or okay to get the content. Now we're in a two-way conversation, even if it's with one word. And I think that's really important when it comes to permission-based sales.
Yeah, without a doubt. In fact, I just started doing another my first Substack article that I've done in a couple of months now because of certain things on my end, but I'm more deeply examining all of that stuff when it comes to messaging, when it comes to permission versus non-permission based, and all of that. And the more that this article is kind of taking life, the more that, I was always convinced of this stuff before. Now I'm even more convinced than ever that this is the way to go. And especially because I think with that study that you just mentioned, I have a feeling, and it's just a guess, that if we were to do it again, the numbers for that first group where you just send the link out automatically, that number would probably go down more. And then the second group where you ask permission for the link would either stay static or go up.
Yeah, but I do agree 19 might be 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Because they're going to think it's the only difference would be if I'm sending it to people that I've already earned the right.
Right. That's true.
Right. So if the 100 people I'm sending it to have already gotten value, then I've earned the right. And so that is the only caveat to that. So
Sure.
I think the
Sure, I
way
get
to
that.
look at it is 100 people that you don't know and they don't know you
Right.
for each group would be a more solid.
Yeah.
Study.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. What is next on the list?
So next, the last one is has to do with AI generated content, or in this, the way that I'm going to talk about it, more and more people are starting to call it slop, which I think is a great way to describe it. So publishing that AI generated content that you haven't touched, in other words, you just copy and paste it out, that to me is the definition of slop. Or, even just something like leaving a generic comment on someone else's post, great post, agree with it wholeheartedly, 100%, that type of stuff. Anything like that tells people exactly how much you value your attention, which, guess what? That number would be way low. Even though, again, you may not view it being like that, it's how people receive it. And people are receiving the message that you don't value their attention. So your perspective is the whole point. Your perspective also not only either not only starts a conversation with them, it's also about you showing your expertise so that you are really out there, again, providing help and not just talking about how you help, so that you're seen by others as an expert. I mean, that's what it's kind of all about. People like talking to experts too. If you're seen as an expert, and yet you are talking about the things that they need help with, and you are helping them with that, that trust just goes way up, I think.
Absolutely. And I think what you're saying is really important. I kind of look at there's three ways to eat dinner, as long as we're talking about boiling up, right? Let's do this. Right? There's the from scratch. So when I make my grandmother's chicken soup, it is from as scratch, almost as a scratch as she did. But I side story on this. It is my great grandmother's recipe from Russia.
Hmm.
And we have it written in Yiddish, and then my grandmother translated it into English.
Hmm.
And the first step is go find an old fatty fowl and kill it. So,
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, as homemade as possible. The chicken is Purdue. So, but other than that, everything is really homemade. I really like it. I'm not growing it, but it's homemade. That takes probably 4 or 5 hours to cook that
Mhm.
soup. Then there's the semi-homemade, which means I'm buying the baby carrots and dumping them. Like I didn't, like I'm buying all the pieces. I'm using chicken stock instead of boiling the chicken with the bones to get the flavor, right? I bought the chicken stock. That's semi-homemade. It's still delicious. And that's what I would say. So homemade is I haven't gone to AI at all.
Mhm.
Semi-homemade is I've gone to AI. I put in some ideas. I put in my thoughts around it. And what I will typically do, and this is based from the Crispy, our book, Prompt Writing Made Easy, is I'll say, this is what I want to write on. Interview me one question at a time on these topics. So I did this today. I'm writing a blog post on the 5 questions that I think every sales leader needs to ask a candidate when they're interviewing them about LinkedIn. And I knew what my questions were, but I didn't have the blog post around that. So I didn't say, give me the 5 questions. I said, here are roughly the 5 questions that I think everybody should ask. Help me write the blog post. So it's semi-homemade.
Mhm.
And that's okay. The challenge is if you go and you buy a can of Progressive chicken soup, everyone knows it's canned,
Yep.
right? Not nothing again, no shade on Progressive,
Right.
right? Or Campbell's or any, but you know it's canned. And that's what happens when you copy and paste your AI. It's like you opened a can and stuck it in the microwave. And it just is obvious. It doesn't mean you could read it, you could read the post and it sounds great. The soup could taste great,
Yeah.
but it's canned and it's just exactly the same no matter who serves it, right? My next door neighbor can serve it and it tastes exactly the same. And that's what AI con. I like that. That was all. I just went all like off the cuff on that, but I really like that story. I'm going to write a blog post about that.
Yeah, actually, the whole thing about, I serve canned soup, my neighbor serves canned soup, we come to the same event with it, it's going to taste exactly the same. If I write a piece of content or copy and paste a piece of content from AI, then you copy and paste a piece of content from AI, it'll be different content, obviously, but at the same time, they're both going to look like AI.
It's going to sound
Yeah,
exactly the
sound.
same,
Yep.
the same cadence, the same pace, no matter how well it knows you. And by the way, probably the same tips because it's still pulling. If you say the top five, I go to Claude and say the top five, and you say the top five, chances are they're going to be really close.
Right. Yeah,
So,
because
yeah,
one of the big things that I think that people tend to forget about AI is that it doesn't think. It doesn't have true creativity. It's just pulling in what it knows from sources
right?
on
Nothing
the
new.
internet or books, blah blah blah, or whatever. AI truly isn't thinking, and it could help you give you
Ideate.
ideas about things like that. But even that stuff is coming from other sources. It's truly not thinking on its own. I think
Yeah.
that people tend to forget that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you Google a recipe and you get the Food Network's top recipe, everyone's going to make that. But everyone ends up, if you're making that recipe, I'm okay with a recipe.
Hmm.
Make it your own, right? The
Yeah.
recipe is fine. But,
Yep.
I don't know where I'm going. I'm taking this too far. But the bottom line, right? The bottom line is make it homemade or semi homemade. Don't open a can and post it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you definitely need to use that analogy,
I
and
know, I
and
love it.
I think that's great.
And it was
That's great.
inspired by Boiled Over. So there you go.
Boiled over. Exactly, exactly. So just call me Bob AI because I think that I kinda helped that
You,
along a little bit
there
and
you go.
helped you
You
think about
spark
that.
you sparked the concept.
Exactly. Speaking of bubbling over, sparking, and stuff like that. So,
All right. Well, I think we covered our
I
points.
think we covered everything too, and I thought this was gonna be a quick podcast episode, but whenever I think that they always come out being a lot longer than I thought, which is great because we talked about a lot of good stuff today. So with that, I want to
Wait, I
thank
want
you.
to add one more thing
Yeah, go
before,
ahead.
before it's this is a CTA. Um,
Ooh,
in May, so in May we have so we just finished. Let's start. We just finished in April our very first makeover week. In May we have content week.
mhm.
So it's an $11 investment if you go to socialsaleslink.com/events, content week. And at the end of it's 30 minutes a day for 5 days. At the end of the week, you will have content for the month and
And a
schedule.
process that's repeatable so you can do that every month too. This isn't just for 1 month. You'll be able to use this over and over and over and over again.
Yep, you get all the prompts for it and all the fun things. So go to socialsaleslink.com/events. I hope we earned the right to be able to share our $11 offer.
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
I hope we have as well. So with that, thanks for joining us for this episode of Making Sales Social Live. We are here live every week, Mondays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time here in the US. So put a block on your calendar for us. We'd appreciate it. If you're listening to this as a recording on on our podcast, we would love subscribes and follows as well as comments and likes and all the other good love
Reviews,
that,
give
that
us
you can
five
show us.
stars.
Yeah, 5 stars, reviews, everything would be fantastic. We'd appreciate that. Besides these LinkedIn Live episodes, we also interview leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and many, many more adjacent areas. So catch those as well. Socialsaleslink.com/podcast is one place you can go to find out more about who we are and what we do here at Social Sales Link. So when you're out and about, be sure to make your sales.
Social. It's really easy
Thanks,
when Sam's
everybody.
not here.
Yeah.